5 News This Morning starts now.
Well, hey, it's 7 a.m. Thank you so much for joining us here on 5 News This Morning Plus, streaming live on the 5 News Plus Smart TV app. I'm Joe Ellison.
And I'm Tiffany Lee. And we want to talk about this morning a few different things. First, a former Kentucky officer has been sentenced in connection with Breonna Taylor's death. The family will be sharing their thoughts ahead.
Plus, Fayetteville is installing smart water meters to boost efficiency and cut costs. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi has a live report on what this means for the city and residents.
But first, let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Danny Cassidy in the Weather Center, keeping a close eye on that extreme heat because, Danny, it's already hot and it's on like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I know, it's only 7 a.m. That's kind of the harshness of this, is that with the humidity, it still feels warm overnight, so it doesn't necessarily get much relief overnight. But that humidity will drop a little bit later this week, especially tomorrow and Thursday. It's not going to be a noticeable difference, but just a little bit. Here's a few looks outside across northwest Arkansas in the River Valley. You've seen that sunrise here. We'll go over to Poto. Beautiful sunrise there in eastern Oklahoma and LaFleur County. You can see that big yellow orb providing us, well, quite a bit of heat, but of course giving us a nice sunrise, on this Tuesday. We'll take another shot outside. We'll go over to, let's go northwest Arkansas. We'll go over to Springdale there. If wanted to go back to Poto, it really loves Poto. Let's see if I can hover this over. There we go. Go to Springdale this morning. Look, the heat's got everything going crazy. It's got us going crazy. It's got the machines going crazy. But we have a lot of blue sky out there in Springdale, and a lot, no matter where you are pretty much, besides maybe a few thin cloud covers. Right now at 7 o'clock, we're seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, see close to 80 still in Fort Smith. So again, with that humidity higher, it gives us a quicker start to closer to 80 degrees. So if you're heading outside later this morning, definitely do anything exercise-wise, cycling, walking, whatever you want to do, get it done early because it will be hot by noon. Temperatures in the 90s, but the feels like could be at 100 as well. With that feels like, as I mentioned, close to 100 there in northwest Arkansas, into the triple digits later this afternoon, closer to 105 for the River Valley, hitting 103, 104 by the noon hour, and getting, I think, close to 110 later this afternoon and this evening. And of course, don't forget about the UV index. Of course, this pale fella here, right here, you don't have to tell me, I'm well aware, is going to be as low as maybe 10 minutes later this afternoon. So again, make sure to lather up. Keep yourself hydrated, not only internally with the water, but as well as your skin. We're going to talk more about the forecast, that heat, humidity, and maybe a minimal rain chance coming up in that full forecast. For now, we'll take a live look along I-40 at Clarksville. You can see, good morning to you folks there. Traffic moving smoothly so far. Not too shabby of a morning there in the River Valley. And we'll talk more about the heat, humidity, and that rain chance coming up in just a little bit. Joe and Tiffany.
All right, thanks so much for that, Danny. Well, in a move to cut costs and boost efficiency, the city of Fayetteville is rolling out a new generation of water meters, bringing smart technology to homes and businesses across the city.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi breaks down how the upgrade benefits both the city and its residents. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning, Joe. Now look, it's hot outside, right? There's a lot of people that are going to be out there, maybe watering their lawn. Maybe they're going to go inside, maybe they're going to start grilling, right? And they forgot that they left the water hose running. Well, instead of finding out weeks later when we get that bill and it's, well, where did all that money come from? Why am I spending this much money? Well, instead of that happening with the new smart meters that Fayetteville is implementing, they could get an alert, a timely alert right to their phone when it happens, so that they know that they have to go outside and fix that issue. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you some video of the old water meters as well as the new ones that the city is looking to implement. Tim Neander with the city of Fayetteville says that they're about 53% finished in replacing its existing water meters. So far, crews have swapped out 27,000 of the 51,000 meters, many of which are more than 20 years old. The new smart meters will send data to residents to monitor their usage in real time, whether that's either online or through a phone. And Neander says that the upgrades mean more accurate, timely readings, helping cut costs, avoid billing disputes, and give customers a clearer view of their usage. And this also eliminates the need for city employees to kind of be out there and to check these readings multiple times. So it definitely helps in efficiency. Now, I talked about that new app that will be coming in the next several weeks, and the city hopes to implement and finish replacing all of the meters by 2030, because they're doing it themselves. That's why they're saying it's taking some time. They're not hiring an outside contractor to do this. The city is doing it themselves.
Gotcha. And Jacob, a lot of cities, water loss, things like that will happen. Will these help detect any of that or prevent it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we see all around town, right, these kind of subdivisions coming into town. So what they're able to do is they're able to put these smart meters, these smaller ones on the specific houses, but also a bigger one before it enters that subdivision. So if they see that a lot more water is going into these areas and it's not being used, they know that there's a leak. If it's not showing on the customer's bills, they know that there might be a leak if there's too much water coming in. So instead of thinking, we're going to have to replace the entire system here in the city, they can focus on these smaller pockets and save money by saying, okay, the problem is right here, let's fix it right here. And so it's all about, again, improving efficiency and also saving money as well.
Perfect. All right. Thanks so much, Jacob, for that. Well, this morning we are working to learn new details on a police chase that ended in Fayetteville late last night. According to Fayetteville police, they joined Elkins PD and Arkansas State Police in a pursuit of a vehicle. Now, that ended there on College Avenue in Fayetteville. Police say a pit maneuver was performed. There are no injuries that they are aware of at this hour. Of course, we are working to learn more and bring those details to you.
And enforcement, Amazon has bought land off of Highway 45. It's about a half-mile south of Zero Street near Garum Road. And records are showing that Amazon bought the 17-acre lot for $1.3 million. We're still waiting on more details from Amazon about what they plan to use that land for.
In other news this morning, a former Kentucky police officer who was previously convicted in the death of Breonna Taylor has now been sentenced to 33 months in prison. Taylor was shot and killed in 2020 during a botched drug raid authorized by the Louisville Police Department. Officer Brett Hankinson blindly fired 10 rounds into Taylor's home. The Justice Department requested a one-day sentence for Hankinson, arguing he did not shoot Taylor and is not otherwise responsible for her death. Breonna Taylor's family expressed gratitude that Hankinson has been held accountable.
I think the judge did the best she could with what she had to work with. There was no prosecution in there for us. There was no prosecution in there for Breonna. So I definitely, I'm grateful for the judge for giving some time, because we could have walked away with nothing according to what they recommended.
Well, Hankinson remains free from federal custody for now as his attorney prepares to appeal the judge's sentence. That could take time as questions loom over whether attorneys will seek out a pardon from the president.
Well, Bryan Kohberger will have another chance during his sentencing tomorrow to explain why he killed 4 Idaho college students in November 2022. Kohberger's change of plea at his hearing on July 2nd spared him the death penalty. He admitted guilt to burglary and first-degree murder. However, the plea agreement offers little insight into a motive. Kohberger will be granted an allocution at his sentencing. That's the formal opportunity to actually speak directly to the court before he is sentenced by the judge to life in prison without parole. Kohberger will also forfeit his right to appeal. The victims' grieving families will be able to give impact statements. Well, this morning, soldiers and emergency crews are assessing the aftermath of a deadly Bangladesh Air Force jet that was a crash that killed at least 27 people, including the pilot.
Yeah, the F-7 BGI fighter went down Monday during a routine training flight just minutes after takeoff. More than 80 others remain hospitalized. The military saying that a mechanical failure caused the crash and has now launched an investigation to determine what went wrong.
Well, President Trump has been out of public view, but very active online the last couple of days. One post in particular on sports teams is generating reaction. CBS News correspondent Bradley Blackburn has more on the president.
President Trump said in a social media post he may block a new stadium deal in Washington if the Commanders do not change their name back to the Redskins. The team made the change in 2022.
The president was serious, and as part of the art of the deal, part of his negotiating skills, as you know, sports is one of the many passions of this president, and he wants to see the name of that team changed.
City officials and the Commanders announced a deal in April to bring the team back to its former home, the RFK Stadium site. Washington's mayor dodged the controversy when questioned yesterday.
What I'm concerned about is we haven't done our part. And so we need to complete our part so that the team can get to work.
President Trump also wrote the Cleveland Guardians baseball team should change their name back to the Indians. But the White House was more interested in new job approval ratings released after the president's first 6 months in office.
His approval rating with the Republican Party is actually at an all-time high. He's polling 90 to 95%.
A CBS News poll shows overall President Trump's approval rating fell 11 points since February.
Donald Trump is deeply unpopular. The American people clearly recognize that the Trump administration is in free fall.
President Trump also posted about the Brian Kohberger plea deal, writing that he hopes the judge will compel Kohberger to explain why he killed 4 University of Idaho students at his sentencing hearing tomorrow. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Well, coming up in the Daily Brew, we'll see how one man's Powerball gamble paid off for him twice.
Hey, welcome back. Well, rain poured overnight last Thursday into early Friday, triggering flash flooding and water rescues across northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, some of the worst flooding there on Wagon Wheel Road area of Benton County, where one woman actually found herself trapped. Another, though, she didn't hesitate to help. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer shares their story of flooding, which led to an unlikely friendship.
Gloria Cunningham works in Cave Springs but lives in Springdale. And after a long shift Thursday night, she was just trying to get home.
Because that's the best time to get sleep for me, is when it's raining.
She took Wagon Wheel Road, a low-lying area with creeks, and found herself stuck between 2 floods.
The water kept coming towards me. And then all of a sudden I was calling N-Star and I was calling my roadside assistant and nobody could help me.
And then she saw her.
You okay?
But by that time, he sent an angel, and her name is Brooke.
Brooke Kochel and her daughters, Sage Pilar and Rumi, are no stranger to seeing the area outside their house flood. She had been watching the waters rise from her window.
Can you get out if you need to?
She saw Gloria's headlights stalled in the floodwater and ran straight into the rain.
She was really scared because, one, she can't swim, she told me later. So, she was terrified of that. She said the water had been up to her windshield and her car was swaying.
Brooke guided Gloria out and into her home.
I'm a nurse. You don't question stuff like that. You just do it.
You take in people, you meet new people, you leave them better than you found them, and that's the best you can do.
What really got it is when she said, well, why don't you just come in and have a cup of tea? And I said, yeah, I could have that. I could do.
Gloria spent the rest of the night with Brooke and her daughters.
They gave me comfort, okay? They gave me shelter. you know, and they opened their home, and not only their home, their heart to me.
Safe, warm, and grateful.
My mom told me this morning, she said, well, I know Channel 5 says this all the time. When there's a flood, turn around. Now I really know what that means.
More than that, she left with friends for life.
Thank you, Brooke, for being my lifeline. And we'll always be connected.
In Benton County, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Gloria and Brooke say that they've talked every day since that night, sharing stories, laughs, and life updates.
Well, this morning, northern Vietnam is on high alert as Tropical Storm Weepa slams into the coast with winds of up to 55 miles per hour. Flights there canceled and emergency alerts have been sent out. Millions have been warned about the risk of flash floods and landslides. Now, tourists were seeking out a shade today in Greece. They're facing some sweltering heat under their third heat wave of the summer. Tourists in Athens, one of the most densely populated capitals in Europe, sitting on a plain flanked by mountains, sought out air-conditioned restaurants and stores. Some saying that they were staying inside in the middle of the day. Authorities announced that there, which sits on the Rocky Hills, that area offering barely any shade and is Greece's most visited ancient site. It would be closed for 5 hours from midday on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is a common step when the temperatures soar.
We are staying inside during the middle of the day and finding air-conditioned restaurants and stores. And drinking a lot of water.
Yeah, drinking a lot of water.
Cold showers.
Yeah, cold showers have helped a lot.
Well, the Greek Meteorological Service says that the heat wave will continue until Sunday. Well, here at home, live look over Ozark. We're sweltering a little bit too, but things aren't necessarily shutting down. We're just kind of suffering through, Danny.
I was going to say, I'm sorry to say it's not going to last just until Sunday. It'll probably last really for the rest of summer, but it is going to be at least a beautiful sight out there. Here's a live look along I-49 at US 612. You can see traffic moving smoothly so far. There's a semi here. This is southbound, so be mindful that this is parked on the right side. Just make sure to always be aware of your surroundings there, but otherwise seeing plenty of sunshine, maybe a little bit of thin cloud cover there. Otherwise, we're seeing a lot of blue sky. Here's another live look in Fort Smith, 79 degrees. That dew point, though, that mugginess at 74. And yes, this humidity helps keep the air temperature down a little bit. It helps keep things a little bit more moist and prevents that wildfire stuff. But unfortunately, it just makes it very uncomfortable. It feels like already at 82. And again, we're not even at 720 yet. Now, could be a little bit of reduced air quality today. I mean, there already is here in northwest Arkansas. I didn't see it as much in the River Valley. That's because a little bit of Saharan dust elevated. It has moved from the Gulf up towards us. And while it's not going to be a massive impactful dust, you might see a little bit of it, kind of that milky white kind of in the sky, as well as maybe some reduction in air quality. Still is extra sensitive to allergens or dust. Be mindful of that. Otherwise, I think for the most part, it'll be okay. So for that dust forecast here, it'll eventually move in later this afternoon in more bulk. You can see light green. I think it'll be pretty hard to see, though. It's not going to be super noticeable. It's not like the thick wildfire smoke where you're going to walk out and be like, wow, this is a lot. It's not going to be like that, but it could be a little bit there on the horizon. But by tonight, it's out of here, and really after tonight, it's pretty much gone for the foreseeable future, and of course, we'll keep you posted if it does end up returning. Otherwise, the big story, of course, is the heat. It's going to be the big story today, tomorrow, the rest of this week, next week, probably for the start of August. Right now, here's what we got going on. Extreme heat warning in effect for Franklin, parts of Johnson, as well as Logan County. This is the highest likely area of seeing heat indices as high as 110, maybe a couple spots as high as 112. Rest of the heat advisory for the River Valley will be anywhere from about 105 to 109. Northwest Arkansas for Benton and Carroll County around 105. And even though Madison, Washington, and Adair County aren't necessarily underneath it, that's due to the terrain. It'll still be very hot, very close to 105. So it might be just below that criteria. And again, we're splitting hairs at this point. And it's hot basically all across the center of the country. You can see basically from the Twin Cities, shout out my homeland, all the way down to the Gulf there near New Orleans. Extreme heat watch, extreme heat warnings there in the Mississippi River Valley, south of St. Louis, or in the St. Louis area, I should say, through Memphis, portion of Jackson, Mississippi, and then a heat advisory extends off east out towards Atlanta and the Florida Panhandle. So no matter where you are in the center of the country, it's pretty hot. But of course here, that's what we care about, right? This is what it's looking like later this morning. Into the afternoon hours, here's noon, mid-90s there for northwest Arkansas. You can see triple digits pretty much across the board in the River Valley. Then later this afternoon, again, about 105 to 111 in the River Valley, approaching 105 in northwest Arkansas. Again, Fayetteville, Huntsville, you see how it's a little bit lower than Bentonville and Rogers. it's not going to be a super noticeable difference. It's still hot no matter where you are. Then later tonight, again, the big thing with this is with how much moisture there is in the atmosphere, it is hard for it to cool down as well as warm up. So it's still going to feel like the upper 80s and low 90s, especially in the River Valley. As I mentioned, that feels like it's not really going away anytime soon. It may be a degree or two cooler for us tomorrow as well as Thursday, just because of potential of maybe a little bit of a lowering of humidity, but really it's still going to feel about the same. And then Friday and Saturday will bump back up due to the humidity being a little bit higher. So for today, overall high temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. Could potentially see maybe our first 100-degree day in the River Valley. It's going to get close with mostly sunny skies and that southwest wind, a little bit of a breeze at about 5 to 15. As I mentioned, that humidity will drop a little bit for today compared to yesterday, and will continue to drop a little bit. Again, it's going to be slight. It's not going to be super noticeable, but that low temperature will help keep us a little bit cooler during the morning hours, but then also warm things up during the day, and then it'll shoot back up on Saturday, again, keeping our potential for humidity close to 110 possible. In terms of rainfall, very little expected for us this upcoming weekend. Maybe a little bit very isolated on Sunday and Monday. Otherwise, it's going to stay warm. With the humidity dropping for Thursday and Friday, notice those temperatures are able to rise a couple more degrees. We could get close to 100 on Friday for Northwest Arkansas, but a better chance in the River Valley. Again, haven't seen that 100-degree day yet for us this summer, but it looks like it could be here, if not Thursday, on Friday.
All right, in today's Daily Brew, double the luck, right, for a Massachusetts man who actually bought a Powerball ticket. This was for the July 9th drawing, but he went back and got another one just about 10 minutes away and bought that second one. And it just turns out that he won both. Just missed that Powerball number, so he got 5 of the numbers. How much money? $2 million he's walking away with.
Yeah, it must be nice. I mean, I know he's probably bummed he was just right off of the Powerball, but I think $2 million will be okay. You know?
And what was that hunch? You know what? I know sometimes, like, if you're sitting at a table or something, you're like, I got to keep playing. But what was that hunch you felt? Because I want to know what was going on.
Yeah, I think it's just luck, right? That's the hunch.
But how much do we think he spent over the years on getting like this to happen?
But how do you get 2 tickets that both match 5 numbers?
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's like triple luck.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what's happening there, but okay. All right, well, police officers in White Settlement, they're being praised for their quick response. This is after a fire broke out early Monday morning there at the Red Roof Inn off Interstate 30. I'm not for sure what state that's in, but you can see the video here shows that Sergeant John Banner just races towards the fire, and he puts his own life at risk, of course, and gets people out. This is in Texas, actually. Wakes up the guests and like, hey, you gotta go.
Yeah, I think that this just goes to show like how much our officers do, right? How they are just willing to put their life on the line for other people.
Absolutely. I feel like, whenever you go into that profession, that's just one of the things, like, you're that person, right? Like, you're going to do that. No matter what, you're going to risk your life to save others, because you see how big those flames are. I mean, that could have quickly went up in flames in like a second. See what happened there?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But just to like show the video, like his heroic actions, I think we need to thank them and praise them a lot more than we do,
Oh, definitely. I mean, we talk about it all the time, especially, we see these videos from other states. From here, they never know what they're going to have to handle that day. In Florida, they might have to wrangle an alligator, or they might have to go get a black bear from someone's backyard. Like, they do so much every single day, and they really don't get enough credit. It's like teachers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they need to be paid a lot more than they are. I'm just saying. These guys, the teachers, I mean, we need to be putting some money towards them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, we should be.
Yeah. All right, so what is it? Tuesday, we got a few more days until Friday. It's hot, hot, hot outside. We're going to talk about that coming up in our next 5 News This Morning Plus segment as well. We got a whole lot of other news and weather for you as well. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
This is a 5 News update.
Good morning. I'm 5 News meteorologist Danny Cassidy. Yeah, no surprise. You see my face. You're like, he's going to probably talk about those heat alerts. Well, you're darn right I am. Extreme heat warning in effect for Franklin, Johnson, and Logan County. This is for heat indices around 110. Some areas could get as high, though, as 112. Heat advisory for the rest of the River Valley there, anywhere from 105 to 109. Benton and Carroll County around 105 for northwest Arkansas. And you're seeing Madison, Washington, and Adair County not underneath the heat advisory. Again, it's more of just a technicality. With the terrain a little bit higher, maybe could get around 103, 104, just under the 105. But anyway you cut it, it is going to be hot out there. So as we go through the rest of this morning, continue to watch those heat indices get into the mid-90s there in northwest Arkansas, triple digits there into portions of the River Valley. And don't worry there in Waldron, I got you, that is 95 there for that feels like. Then around 4 o'clock, and that's the peak heating of the day, seeing about 100 to 110. There's that eastern portion of the River Valley. It's getting close to 110. You see Paris there at 111 in Logan County. So if you're in this area, this is where the hottest is going to be. Just make sure to take care of yourself if you're spending time outside. Even 7 o'clock, about an hour before sunset, still feeling like the triple digits area-wide in the River Valley, mid to upper 90s there in northwest Arkansas. And even by 10 o'clock, you're going to bed, still feeling very warm. That humidity a little bit more elevated, more moisture in the atmosphere, that allows things to maybe not cool off as fast. So that unfortunately is going to be the case for us for tonight. Overall today, high temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 90s, pretty much across the board, approaching 100 here at the River Valley. That will be 94 there in Waldron. Mostly sunny skies with the southwest wind, a little bit of a breeze, about 5 to 15. But again, make sure to stay safe out there in the heat because it is going to be hot. Unfortunately, this isn't going away for us anytime soon. Hey, if you're watching over on 5 News on Channel 5, we are having our 5 News Plus this morning coming up here in the next half hour. So go over to our app to watch that. Otherwise, have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Five News This Morning starts now.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for watching 5 News This Morning Plus, streaming live on the 5 News Plus Smart TV app. I'm Tiffany Lee.
And I'm Joe Willison. Right now here at 7:30, Fayetteville is making a high-tech upgrade. Installing smart water meters. We'll tell you how this could impact city and residents.
I had called the vet and she was like, you need to get them in here right away.
Plus, a local family searching for answers after they say 3 pets died from antifreeze poisoning. This as vets are reporting an uptick in these kinds of cases.
All right, but first this morning, let's check in with Danny because here on this Tuesday, it is a hot one. It feels like we're just continuing, like breathing in that hot, it's like breathing in soup this morning.
Yes, breathing in soup. Hey, I like that you used that analogy again because, hey, everyone's got to hear that. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, it is like breathing in like that hot air over and over again, and it's not going to really go away anytime soon. The humidity may drop a little bit over the next couple of days, but in terms of monumental shifts in the heat, That's not happening for the foreseeable future. Here's a live look in Rogers, 76 degrees, that dew point of 72. So again, it's still feeling pretty muggy. That southerly wind about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Will pick up out of the southwest later today, anywhere from about 5 to 15. Another live shot here in Poto, 75 degrees, and again, that dew point, low 70s there at 72. So again, that dew point eventually later today will get a little bit lower into the lower 70s, but it's not going to be a huge difference for us, and it's still going to fuel some of that warmer feels like. I'm showing this at 7:30. Usually I wouldn't, because we still have a heat index in some areas, including in Fort Smith. It already feels like 82 degrees, and it's 7:30. And the normal low this time of year for Fort Smith and the River Valley is 72, and it already feels 10 degrees warmer than we should. So we're already getting kind of a fast start to the day with that heat. And it's only going to get hotter. So for Northwest Arkansas, that pool forecast, maybe you're lucky enough to be by a pool where you're like, you know what, I'm going to go dip myself into the water today. Be an excellent day to do it. High temperatures will be approaching the upper 90s in Northwest Arkansas, the mid-90s later this afternoon with a little bit of a mostly sunny sky. For the River Valley, approaching 100 degrees later this afternoon, a little bit of a southwest breeze. So again, make sure to also wear that sunscreen, keep yourself hydrated, keep that skin hydrated, because it is going to feel very hot. And that's not, or I should say, not including the feels like. The feels like for Northwest Arkansas will be in the triple digits, close to 105 in many areas, if not hitting 105. River Valley well into the triple digits, getting close to 110, especially for portions of Franklin, Johnson, and Logan County. Overall today for those high temperatures, as I mentioned, mid-90s, Northwest Arkansas, approaching 100 in the River Valley. We'll have a little bit of a southwest breeze and maybe a little bit of some thin cloud cover as well as some Saharan dust, but expected to be minimal impacts there. So the heat advisories continue. Still going to be muggy for us, and rain chances, unfortunately, they're pretty minimal. So that does keep the humidity down, but also doesn't really cool us off very much. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in your full forecast. For now, we'll take a look at traffic on this Tuesday morning. Take a live look along I-49 near Greenland. Good morning to you there. Traffic moving smoothly so far on this Tuesday. No accidents to report. We're going to be safe out there in the heat. We'll talk more about it here coming up in about 10 minutes. Joe and Tiffany.
Thank you, Danny. Well, the Paris police chief says that their department's building is not fit for daily operations, saying it's been deteriorating for years.
5 News reporter Kayla Davis spoke with local leaders and found out what options the city has to improve operations.
The police department moved here in the mid to late 90s, which will have put us here now for about 30 years. I'm sure it was, a good facility when they started here. We just have noticed that the facility is not really adequate for our needs anymore.
Paris Police Chief Jared Petz says they presented a proposal to City Council last November asking for a new building.
There's 7 restrooms in the building and only 2 work. There's electrical issues, flooding issues. The way the building is kind of a little lower to the ground than the highway, so every time it rains it floods into their building. So there's just numerous issues that we have, for whatever reason, put off over the years, and we need to take care of our police officers.
One of their first solutions, tear it down and rebuild with funding from a $1.5 million grant.
Once they looked at the square footage that was needed for the new police department, it was going to be a far over budget than the grant would allow.
Taking everything back to the drawing board, City Council member Tanya Fletcher suggested using the Armory building, a facility gifted to the city at the same time Paris PD submitted their proposal. On Tuesday, Council is expected to vote on whether or not to move Paris PD into the Armory building as they wait and see if they've been approved for the grant.
It takes more than one person to decide, so I will just continue to advocate for using a building that we already own, letting them go in there temporarily, getting them out of the building they're in with the health concerns there are in that building.
Mayor Daniel Rogers says the Armory space can do good for the entire community, not just the police department.
I think it's a good opportunity to do police combined with either City Hall and our utilities, or make it just a city complex, or police department, and say a rec center, or some other ideas that have been thrown out by the public.
Well, that was Kayla Davis reporting. Those architects will present their estimated cost in a town hall today at noon, followed by public comment. City Council will vote on whether or not to temporarily move Paris PD into the Armory immediately after the town hall.
Well, the man who opened fire inside of an Arkansas grocery store last year, killing 4 people, has pleaded guilty to all charges. Travis Posey entered the plea Monday as part of a deal with prosecutors. He's charged with 4 counts of capital murder in the deaths of Roy Sturgis, you'll see those victims here in a second, Kelly Weems, Shirley K. Taylor, and Ellen Shrum. Sentencing is set for August 4th. Now, under the agreement, Posey will serve life without parole for each murder count and 20 years for each of the 11 counts of attempted capital murder. The judge will still need to sign off on the sentencing agreement during next month's hearing. Well, happening now, Arkansas State Police are looking for a suspect after a hit and run in Hempstead County, which claimed the life of a construction worker on I-30.
State police say the victim was a contracted worker placing cones along the interstate when they were hit by a vehicle. The crash then caused traffic to pile up, leading to another wreck involving an 18-wheeler that claimed 2 lives. State police believe the driver took off on foot after the crash and hasn't been found.
Right now, no information about their identity has been provided, but investigators say they were driving a Buick that had left the scene.
Well, developing this morning, we're working to learn new details on a police chase that ended in Fayetteville. According to Fayetteville police, they joined Elkins Police Department and Arkansas State Police in pursuit of a vehicle. The pursuit ended on College Avenue. Police say a pit maneuver was performed. Officials have confirmed that the suspect was arrested. There are no injuries, and we are working to learn more.
Well, Bella Vista family is grieving the loss of 3 of their 4 dogs, believed to have been poisoned with antifreeze.
Police reports show the incident happened at night when all 4 pets showed signs of distress. One owner says the dogs got up to go to the bathroom, and within a matter of minutes, 3 of them were acting confused. She says she thinks someone threw antifreeze over their fence.
The smallest one, she was already having tremors. I put her up on the bed and she was like so scared. She was terrified. We've got now 3 dogs are showing signs, and I was like, they've been poisoned. There's something wrong. They've been poisoned.
An overnight veterinarian says all signs were consistent with antifreeze poisoning. She says that this is not the first time that she's seen a case like this.
I had a very similar case a few months ago where it was 3 dogs that were involved as well. The owners also had no idea that the dogs had gone into antifreeze because they didn't have any of it at their house.
A police report filed by the Bella Vista Police Department in June says that without proof of who poisoned the dogs, the case will be closed unless new leads arise.
Well, Fayetteville is making a high-tech upgrade, swapping out old water meters for smart ones.
Tim Nyender, Utilities Director for Fayetteville, says the city is about 53% finished replacing its existing water meters. Here are some images of the older meters that the city is looking at to replace and the new ones. The smart meters send data directly to the cloud, allowing residents to monitor their usage in real time, either online or through a phone app. Nyender says that the upgrade means more accurate, timely readings. It also eliminates the need for city employees to manually check meters multiple times. The city says reducing water loss is key to protecting future capacity and avoids the need for costly infrastructure upgrades.
They can set it up where the meter itself will notify them through their iPhone or their laptop if they've got high water usage. Today, if they have high water usage, it would be, we would read it 1 month and then read it the next month, you'd have 30 days of excessive water. When it pings you in real time, like you have a stuck toilet bowl or perhaps a garden hose running in the backyard, it'll let you know immediately.
Well, Nyender says that they do expect to roll out the app in the next few weeks. The city is also replacing all the meters in-house without contracting outside services, and they expect all the meters to be replaced by 2030.
Sirens ring out across Tel Aviv this morning as Israel intercepted a missile launched from Yemen. The attack came just hours after Israel struck targets there in Yemen, part of ongoing tensions with the Iran-backed group behind recent missile and drone assaults. And in other news, some Republicans are teaming up with Democrats aiming to force a House vote on releasing more Jeffrey Epstein files. This would let lawmakers decide whether to give the Trump administration 30 days to disclose unclassified materials. The discharge petition is from Republican Representative Tom Massey and Democratic Representative Ro Hanna, but the petition has to wait until after the 5-week August recess.
And the White House has released new FBI records on the investigation into Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, says the National Archive was making more than 240,000 pages public in response to an executive order by the president. They'd been under a court-imposed seal since 1977, when the FBI first turned them over to the National Archive. Well, coming up, a look at big retailer Target's plans to end price matching with competitors like Amazon and Walmart. And huge hieroglyphics covered for years were recently unearthed again in Hawaii. We'll have more news and weather in minutes.
Welcome back to 5 News This Morning. Plus, President Trump's tariffs could have an unintended side effect, making home ownership even less affordable for many Americans. A new report from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce estimates that if tariffs on Canadian imports remain in place, the average cost of building a home in the U.S. could rise by an additional $14,000 in the next 2 years. That's because Canada is the third largest source of imports used in U.S. home construction, behind China and Mexico. According to the Association of Home Builders, the report in 2023 showed Canada accounted for nearly 70% of lumber imports, 25% of imported iron, steel, and 20% copper imports. In a statement, the White House is pushing back on the assertion that these tariffs would increase costs for Americans, saying that the cost of tariffs will instead fall on the exporters. Well, Target plans to end price matching with competitors like Amazon and Walmart. The retailer says most shoppers use price matching for Target's own prices and not others. The company says the change is part of a broader push to emphasize Target's everyday value, brands, and perks. Well, huge petroglyphs covered for years were recently unearthed again in Hawaii. Images are believed to be carved into the Earth's surface by ancient tribes. Mahalian Richardson has the story.
There is one big petroglyph with a little petroglyph right on top of it. The makua holding the keiki on his shoulders and kiloing, just observing the area, just playing in the area. Mahalo e na kua.
Nani Peterson has lived on the Waianae coast her entire life and has never seen these petroglyphs at Polka'i Bay until today.
They're still here. You know, that's the first thing that I can think of is our kupuna is definitely still here.
These ki'ipohaku at the shoreline sandstone are fronting Cabin 11 at the Pilila'au Army Recreation Center. The biggest one is more than 3 feet tall.
These beautiful, beautiful images that they've laid for us to understand. And it's time we understand.
The huge petroglyphs were exposed over the weekend, and cultural experts believe they're more than 1,000 years old. Now, they were first discovered in 2016, and locals here say they haven't been seen in years.
You just never expect anything like that to be discovered in especially our shoreline. I really didn't even know that that was possible.
So we have a cultural resources team that works in Army Garrison to protect and preserve artifacts such as these petroglyphs. Littoral shifts that move the sand and sediment off of these petroglyphs happened over the weekends.
An Army report cataloged 26 petroglyphs spanning about 131 feet of beach. 8 of the figures in the beach rock appear to be male. Experts say the wave-deposited sand and algae suggest that unrecorded petroglyphs may still exist.
They tend to tell the mo'olelo, or a story of the place. We're just guessing that this one was more than likely for agriculture.
We're told the best time to see the ki'ipohaku is during low tide. When the sand will cover them again is a mystery.
We'll take a look at traffic for us this morning. We'll go along I-540 at the Arkansas River over the bridge here. You can see traffic moving smoothly pretty quickly here on this Tuesday morning, and make sure to be safe out there. And with that sun very bright, make sure you have the sunglasses and the shade down to make sure you're seeing okay. And of course, make sure to stay hydrated, not only with fluids, but with your skin as well. And I know I'm a pale guy, but I always talk about it because it is important. Here's a live look over Fayetteville over US 71B. You can see traffic moving smoothly here as well. Currently in Fayetteville, it is 77 degrees with that dew point at 71. So we're in pretty much the low to mid 70s for that dew point pretty much across the board. But look at that crisp blue sky out there. It looks gorgeous out there. But again, it feels like 79. Already as that feels like as you walk out the door this morning. Definitely a little bit noticeable. Now, you really couldn't see it there in Fayetteville, and it's not going to be very noticeable in general, if at all. However, there is a little bit of Saharan dust that's elevated in the atmosphere for us. It's not going to make monumental impacts, but it is reducing air quality a little bit. It's on the 2nd out of the 6 here in terms of that moderate air quality. So those that are very sensitive to allergens or dust, be mindful that it could be around moderate for the rest of the day today. You see the bulk of it is off to our southwest, so most of it would be mostly in the River Valley right now, portions of LaFleur and Sequoia County. That'll eventually make its way through here later this morning into the afternoon. Again, it's going to be very, very small amounts of it. You're not going to be very noticeable. And later this evening, that'll clear out. And by tonight, it'll be out of here and basically a non-factor for us for the foreseeable future. Otherwise, the big topic, of course, is the heat. Really? Shocker, Danny. Thank you. But I'm just saying that for today in terms of my rest of my 2 minutes here, that is what we're going to talk about. Now, the extreme heat warning, is in effect for Franklin, parts of Johnson County on the lower terrain, as well as in Logan County. This is the highest chance of around 110, maybe as high as 112 for that feels like. Rest of the River Valley is going to be anywhere from about 105 to 109. Northwest Arkansas about 105. And you're seeing Washington, Madison County thinking, is it just going to be that much cooler? Again, with a little bit of terrain, it's going to make it maybe a degree or two cooler below 105. Long story short, advisory or not, extreme heat warning or not, it's going to be hot. So just be mindful of that as you're walking out the door this morning and as you're spending especially extended time outside, with sports, extracurriculars, what have you. Just be safe out there. As we go through the rest of this morning into the afternoon, you're going to notice that feels like about mid to upper 90s, low triple digits in the River Valley. You see already 105 at Paris. And again, that's why the extreme heat warning is in the eastern portion of the River Valley. 111 there in Paris, close to 110 in Clarksville, about 105, 106 there in Fort Smith and Sallisaw. And again, approaching 105 in Northwest Arkansas. As we go into the evening hours, again, overnight, it's going to be that, once again, the theme where even as you're going to bed, it still feels warm out there. That AC working extra hard, your body working harder because of the more humidity in the air. Again, you have to work harder to sweat more. So it is going to be definitely a little bit of a tricky situation here as we go through the next couple of days. The humidity will drop a little bit for us tomorrow and Thursday, but the heat index isn't going to be too much more noticeable because while the humidity is going to drop, then the temperature will go up a degree or two. Saturday, that humidity does return, so that kicks back up. It'll be close to that 110 range, really for the rest of this week, but especially later this weekend. Here's a closer look at that humidity. You're seeing that, again, the dew points are dropping here for Thursday and Friday. Then for Saturday, it does rise back up. For today, we'll be in the lower 70s, so a little bit less muggy than yesterday. But again, it's not going to be a massive difference. Overall for today, high temperatures in Northwest Arkansas in the mid-90s, closing in on 100 here in the River Valley, mostly sunny skies. Southwest wind at 5 to 15. Now, you may be wondering, have we hit 100 degrees yet? Well, no. And usually, for a year. On average, this is the average from 1981 to 2010. The River Valley, officially at Fort Smith, we usually have about 9 days at 100 or higher, and then in Northwest Arkansas, about 1. Now, we haven't hit those yet, and I don't think in Northwest Arkansas we'll be getting that maybe close on Friday, you notice, but I think we'll fall just short. Again, those numbers are at Drake Field in Fayetteville for Northwest Arkansas, as well as in Fort Smith for the River Valley. But we are going to see that chance of at least getting close to Northwest Arkansas. Maybe an isolated rain chance on Sunday or Monday, but again, that chance is really low. I think most of us stay dry. The River Valley, however, will probably get their first 100-degree day, if not Thursday, on Friday. Again, it is going to be a little bit drier heat, but still going to be pretty muggy nonetheless. Then again, those isolated rain chances early next week, but still looking pretty dry through the next 7 days. Tiffany?
All right, thanks for that, Danny. Well, Malcolm Jamal Warner, best known for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, passed away yesterday at the age of 54 in a swimming accident while on vacation in Costa Rica. We're taking a look back on Warner's career and why he was a symbol of a cultural shift in American television.
I was that close to one of the most embarrassing days of my life.
Malcolm Jamal Warner first captured the nation's hearts in 1984 as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Not just as the beloved on-screen son, but a relatable and witty presence for millions of viewers who grew up alongside the Huxtable family.
This is your life, but do something with it. Don't be too scared to compete.
In 2015, Warner reflected on The Cosby Show's complex legacy.
You know, when it comes to the images of people of color on television and in film, no matter what we've had, you know, in terms of the things that continue to perpetuate the negative stereotype of people of color, we've always had The Cosby Show to hold up against that.
Warner went on to showcase his versatility, starring in sitcoms like Malcolm and Eddie, lending his voice to The Magic School Bus, and even earning a Grammy in 2015 for Best Traditional R&B Performance. In recent years, he hosted the podcast Not All Hood, exploring rich, diverse stories in the Black community.
Anybody can be a mother and father, right? But
Yes.
being a mom and dad, it's investing that time.
Yes.
It's cultivating those relationships.
Yes.
It's forming these young minds and helping to guide and raise them to be good people.
A private, devoted family man, Warner leaves behind his wife and daughter. Nick Zechevich, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, check this out. 3 ultra-rare orange lobsters, each a $1 in 30 million find, were rescued from supermarket seafood tanks in New York and Connecticut.
An animal advocacy group stepped in just in time, saving them, which nicknamed were Peaches, Sebastian, and Claudia from the dinner plate. Now they're safely swimming in the Long Island Sound instead of in boiling pots. I love it. I've watched some of them like on TikTok and see when they find the blue lobsters.
Yeah, those are pretty rare too, right?
I wonder if they taste better.
I know, that's what I was thinking too. Is that terrible as they're trying to save them from the plate?
Yeah, probably.
I'll say, I've never had lobster in my life.
Dang.
I'm not a huge seafood guy. Like, I like the basic stuff, but like scallops, sea urchin, stuff like that.
Like just because you just hadn't, or
Sea
by
urchin, does
choice, like
anyone
you're like, I'm not
actually eat
doing
sea
it.
Well, scallops, I had that. Oh, I almost spit it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shrimp?
I like shrimp.
We're getting you a
Fish?
lobster.
Fish, yeah.
Lobster? Crab?
Haven't had it.
Goodness.
This is a 5 News Update.
Good morning. I'm 5 News meteorologist Danny Cassidy. There is an extreme heat warning in effect for the eastern half of the River Valley here in Franklin, parts of Johnson and Logan County. So we can see heat indices as high as 110, maybe isolated 111, 112. Heat advisory for the rest of the River Valley, anywhere from about 105 to 109. Then for Benton and Carroll County, northwest Arkansas. Now you're noticing Madison, Washington, and Adair County not under it. This is due to the terrain in the area that could keep it a degree or two cooler than 105, but still, it's going to be hot no matter where you are. And even if you're not under that heat advisory, still act like it is, because again, it's going to be a very minimal difference between Benton County and Washington County, for example. So as we go through the rest of this morning, you're going to see by noon, approaching mid to upper 90s there, triple digits pretty much across the board in the River Valley. Then we get to 4 o'clock here, anywhere from about 100 to near 105. Again, it's only a 2-degree difference. That's not going to be very noticeable. In the triple digits there in the River Valley, 111 there in Paris, especially in Logan County and Johnson County there in Clarksville. As we can see close to that 110, basically 105 to 110 area wide there. And even at 7 o'clock, getting towards sunset, still feeling like the triple digits in much of the River Valley, mid to upper 90s there in northwest Arkansas. And even at 10 o'clock, you're going to bed, still like the 80s and low 90s in the River Valley and upper 70s and low 80s in northwest Arkansas. In terms of what the actual high temperatures are for today, approaching 100 in the River Valley, mid 90s northwest Arkansas. We'll see plenty of sunshine, maybe a few thin clouds out there, a little bit of a southwest breeze at about 5 to 15. Might see a little bit of Saharan dust too as well, but that impact will be pretty minimal. And that feels like it's not going away anytime soon, maybe a degree or two cooler for Wednesday and Thursday. Humidity will drop a little bit today compared to yesterday, and same with the preceding days tomorrow or succeeding days, I should say, tomorrow and Thursday. But then Friday, especially into Saturday, that humidity will jump back up and eventually maybe see a chance of 100-degree days, especially in the River Valley. So of course, stay safe out there. It is summer, but it is a little bit hot out there, so stay safe. Make sure to drink plenty of fluids.
Well, a Fort Smith family says that their son has been severely injured after being struck in a crash involving a suspected drunk driver. 18-year-old Noah Meyer was seriously hurt on May 23rd. The driver, 20-year-old Christopher Pacheco, was arrested and charged with a first offense DWI. Noah's father says the charge remains a misdemeanor because Pacheco's blood alcohol level was just below the felony threshold. Now, the Meyer family is calling for changes to Arkansas law.
And today, the Paris City Council is set to vote on whether to temporarily move the police department into the Armory building. The police chief says that their current building is not fit for operations, and they presented a proposal to City Council last November, asking for a new building.
Fayetteville is swapping out old meters for smart ones as part of a push to save money and streamline operations. These are some of the images of the old and new ones. The smart meters send data directly to the cloud, allowing people to monitor their usage in real time, either online or through an iPhone app. All right, what time is it? 7:59 here. We got just a little bit left here as you're waking up today. It's going to be another hot one, but it is summer. I mean, we're almost through July, though.
So we're almost through July. Say we got about 10 days left of July. I'd say what day is it? 22nd. So we have 10 days left of July, and then August another 31 days, and then after that, before you know it, it'll be September. Fall will be right around the corner.
About it. The year's
and how many days till winter?
152.
150.
It's almost Christmas, guys.
Yes.
Gotta hang in there.
Well, Tiffany, I mean, come on. Like I said, Joe and I like the cold, especially me. That's really no shock. But I don't necessarily love like the freezing cold, but like the normal highs in the winter, or like in the upper 40s, low 50s, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Miserable.
I could do slow 60s.
Yeah, I'll take 85. I just want 85.
Sounds great.
The 90 and 100s, though, that's just for the birds.
75 to 85 is my perfect weather.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.